Taking fire. Reloading. I'm going in.
The down is low. The down.
Reloading.
The best type of person to learn from is a person who practices what they preach, right? I mean, if I'm putting out all these amazing guys, but I don't follow them myself, then what does that make me? A hypocrite. I'm not saying I'm the best player in the world, or am I T1 or a pro player or anything like that, but I can confidently say that I'm a pretty decent player. I can carry myself. On top of that, I always also look for ways to better myself, to improve myself, but most importantly, do something about it. I can and always will give you guys good tips, good advice, tutorials, and stuff like that, either on my YouTube videos or my live streams. But if you're not going to do anything with the advice that I give you, then that's kind of your problem. The main purpose of today's video is to share my game sense with you guys, break down the clips that you saw at the start, and share with you guys the thought process that was occurring during the time in the clips. This is basically just to show you guys that the advice that I give you, I use for myself. But yeah, let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's kick it! Alright, so let's take a look at this first clip, guys. That first one where I did like a really long slide actually came from a two-piece kill clip where I'm fighting people, where I'm fighting a squad out in the open, and I didn't really have much cover and stuff like that. So the only cover that I had here was basically going to be the fence. So I didn't, like, whenever you're fighting, you don't really want to be exposed. So you want to try and find cover as soon as possible. So like the video that I said yesterday about how he was just moving from cover to cover. So from here, the first thing that I look at is I could have easily started shooting at that guy, right? On the top right-hand side of the hill. But I was way too exposed. What if there was more than one guy? What if there was someone on the left-hand side? I needed some sort of cover to run to. So the only cover that I can have immediately at this point is this wall on the left-hand side here. So I run to it and hug it until I'm completely disappeared, prepared myself, and then went out to take this guy out. Watch. See, so right now, the first thing that I do was look for cover. And right now, I'm not exposed at all to this guy here on the left. So I've positioned myself well so I can take them out easily.
Teams here, teams here.
And at this point, I already knew that there were two enemies because watch. So as I go out to shoot this guy, there's another guy down here. There's literally an enemy down here. So I didn't want to keep going forward. So I still had this wall. This even proves the point that I needed to get this cover straight away. Because if I hadn't stayed out there, this guy would have easily taken me out. But because I was in the cover, I could abuse this cover if I needed to. But I didn't need to, thankfully. Watch.
The team's here.
So I managed to take that first guy out, and then now I knew that the next guy is going to be at the bottom of the hill, and I knew that I know about this hill. So I thought I'd use the hill.
Reloading.
Ooh, baby! In terms of like game sense for this particular slide kill right here, so the game sense was before the slide kill, right? And right up to that moment when I started doing a slide, from here on out, it was pure skill. The only way to get good at something like this is just keep practicing it, keep trying it, firing range, real enemies, real fights, and stuff like that. But yeah, I used my game sense to lead up to this particular situation. Alright then guys, so this next one shows again the importance of cover, but this time with a bit of confidence and also freaking hip fire. A lot of people rely on ADS, but this particular clip shows you exactly how powerful hip fire can be if you know the guns to use it with. In this clip, you'll see that I was carrying an alternator. This is actually one of my favorite guns in the game. It's so good for hip fire, and the fire rate is just so good. So yeah, what's happening here is I fell behind. I was looting. I needed some ammos and stuff like that, and they were taking shots. I was playing with Imo and Rose Smith here. They were in a gunfight, and they needed a bit of backup, but I was behind. And I already knew that because of the indicators and stuff like that, and also the sounds, that the enemy was literally dead ahead of me. So I knew that when I was rushing to this place, I needed to be careful because the enemies could be falling back and heading straight to me.
Try and bring him to me.
All right, so let's move forward.
Bait him.
Firing, taking fire.
All right, at this point, I already knew that someone was coming towards me because I heard the footsteps. Before the footsteps indicator came up, I heard the footsteps. Listen.
Try and bring him to me. Try and bring him to me. Bait him.
Here.
Firing, taking fire.
You hear that? So the sounds always come up before the indicator does. So that's definitely something that you need to listen for straight away. The sound is about 1 second ahead of the footsteps indicator. So at this point, I knew that I was in a terrible spot. I had no cover. The guy was coming from a higher ground, and he could just literally easily head glitch me from the top of this boulder over here. So I was in a terrible spot. The only two things that I could do is get cover ASAP by running to this place and also slide. And that's exactly what I did here.
Let's go over here.
So at this point, I already had the cover. So I saw the guy come out and I knew immediately that I had to get cover straight away. The first thing that should come into your mind whenever you're about to get into a gunfight is cover. Where the hell is my nearest cover? So instead of going directly forward to the guy, I'd already scanned. I was trying to find out where the bloody hell the enemies were. So at this point, I was very vulnerable. With Bloodhound scan, you cannot cancel it. Once he's done the animation, this thing, it will keep going. You have nothing to do but to just finish it. So the best thing to do is literally just get cover. Watch. And that's exactly what I did. I abused the cover that I had in front of me. I saw him, and then the only cover that I had was to my right, which is to his left. So I strafed a little bit. Gives me a little bit of time to get myself into a safe spot, reposition, and go in for the attack.
Taking fire.
Replay!
Taking fire.
Oh my days, that is just freaking juicy, man. All right, let's go back a little bit. So let me run that too, because there's more to it than you've actually seen, right? So what's happening here is that I'm a very, very confident Bloodhound player. I know how Bloodhound works. I know how to exploit his abilities. So right before I scanned, I already knew the enemy was there. There was no need for the scan whatsoever at this point. I already knew that the enemy was behind the rock. It doesn't have that much use now. So the only thing that I wanted to do now was plan of attack, which was attack. That was it. So I already knew where the enemy was, and I already knew the best route for this, the quickest route, is to slide and shoot. That's exactly it. I already knew exactly where the enemy was. He was behind the rock, 100% behind the rock. So I just went to slide, and then he went to slide past me, and then my quick reflexes was just like take the guy out. Know what I mean? So let's watch that again. So as soon as I scanned, I already knew my play. Right before I came out of that cover, that rock, I already knew my play.
Firing. Taking fire.
I heard him. He's coming out. Whoop. Cover. Get out.
Fire.
Oh, baby. Oh, my gosh.
Taking fire.
The guy just had no idea where I was. Alright guys, with this one, it shows the importance of strafing left and right while you're moving. Also, always be moving. And number 2, be patient with your shots. What's happening here is me, Imo, and Octane are pushing a team where we hear gunshots from. And I do a scan. When I scan, I see where the enemies are. And from there, I pick an enemy. I tell my team where I'm going. That's another important thing. You have to tell your teammates where you're going. And I'm telling them there's a guy at the top. So I'm going to go for that guy at the top. And then we'll break the rest of the video down when we get there.
That's my grenade, Josh.
One up top, one up top.
So at this point, I already knew the guy was charging towards me, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. Oh, look at this, guys. It's Bloodhound versus Bloodhound. Who's gonna come out on top? Obviously me.
Reloading. Reloading.
All right, see that, guys? So we're going to rewind it back a little bit. So at this point, as soon as I get into a gunfight, I was too close for ADS. So I have to hip fire. R301 isn't the best gun for hip fire. I should have switched to my alternator, really, but hey, why not? I was already ready. I was ready for a fight. And he was close enough for a hip fire. At this point, any gun would be very, very accurate with hip fire. He was literally like 2 meters away from me. I could hug him.
One up top, one up top.
All right, so I'm hip firing him. The mistake that I did here, here's a mistake that I'm going to point out a mistake. I haven't done this yet. So at this point, I made a mistake. I waited for the reload to finish rather than like switching to my weapon, which is an alternator. It's always faster and safer to switch your weapons to a secondary weapon than try and finish your reload. Unless you're pretty confident with your movement skills, right? But yeah, I should have switched weapons here.
Reloading. Reload.
So I used the slide. I repositioned myself. The guy keeps on missing his shots. Now, at this point, I wanted to wait for him to start reloading. I wanted to make the guy miss a lot of his shots just by strafing left and right. Confusing. Sometimes if you keep moving to one direction, it's easier to trace you. But when you keep moving left and right, it makes you a much harder target. See that? I wasn't shooting. He kept on firing. He's about to run out of bullets. So I waited for the right moment. I went to slide, counted their shots, and then I went in for the kill. At this point, I had better movement. He couldn't hit me. He'd used up most of his ammo, and I just went in for the kill. Let's watch that one more time.
One up top, one up top.
See that? Changing my direction left and right. There we go. I know know that there were a couple more clips that I didn't really cover, but I just wanted to see if people like this kind of content. If you do like this kind of content and you want me to make more of this, then just drop a like on the video so I can figure out how many people actually want this. But for now, click one of these, quick!